Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing the front and the rear differential fluid in a 5th gen 4Runner. So let's get into it.
Hey, what are you doing, Billy?
First thing you're going to need, of course, is the differential fluid itself. I went ahead and went with Toyota brand on this fluid change, but you don't have to do that. You can get Redline's. Redline makes a product. The most important thing you need to remember is 75W85, simply the weight. But either way, you should be good in your application. You'll need 3 quarts for the rear, a quart and a half for the front, and of course a few other items as well that we'll go over now. You're gonna need a breaker bar to get the bolts off the bottom of the front and rear differential, standard ratchet, an extension, 12mm socket. You're gonna need this 10mm hex. It's kind of like a big Allen key, but you definitely want it on a socket so you can torque it back down at the end, or torque the bolt down at the end. 24mm socket, pair of work gloves, always handy. You're gonna need these crush washers. I'll put a link in the description for them, but you have 2 different types of crush washers here. 3 of them are the same. One of them is this big copper crush washer. I'll put a link in the description for you so you can make that really easy on you. And I've included the foot-pounds you can torque them down to as well. Speaking of the foot-pounds, you're gonna need a torque wrench to torque those down to. A little bit of PV blaster or WD-40 to bust everything apart. Of course, your fluid, and then a fluid pump can be very helpful as well. Okay guys, we're into the vehicle now, a little bit further in the back. So just reference point, driver's side tire over here. There's your front skid plate up there. This should look familiar if you've done your oil before. This is where you access the drain pan or the drain plug for your oil. So we're gonna take this entire skid plate off. It's 4 12mm bolts here, here, and then there's a couple up front. I'll show you those as well. Okay, so these next 2 you're definitely gonna need an extension for. One of the bolts is up in here, and the other bolt is up in this hole. Okay guys, we got the skid plate down and we're looking at the front differential right now from the driver's side. Here's our fill plug up here. We're gonna try to crack this one open first. Here's our drain plug. We'll crack this one open second. But before we do that, what we need to do is get a little bit of penetrating oil and just hit both of these, let them seep in for about 5 minutes before we try to crank it on them. And both of these are gonna be on that 10mm hex. I've let the penetrating oil work for about 5 minutes. I'm gonna see if I can get away with not using a breaker bar and just see if I can open these up with a ratchet. There we go. That wasn't too bad. Let's see about this bottom one. There we go. There's the top one. And then I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna move my camera up before I open this one up, because I imagine it's just gonna shoot out and make a big old mess. Make sure you have a pan, of course, but still, nonetheless, I think I'm gonna move my camera before I open this one up. Okay guys, what we have here is the bolts for the front, fill, and the drain as well. Get that copper crush washer off there and slide it on. Of course, you gotta remember there's a magnet on here as well. You wanna clean that magnet off. Let's get this old crush washer off. Get the new crush washer on there, and those are good to go. All right guys, this is finished draining. I got the bolt with the new crush washer on here. Let's go ahead and put this back in, and then we're gonna torque this down to 48 foot-pounds. We're gonna put about a quart and a half in here. Essentially, we're just gonna wait for the fluid to start flowing out, at which point we'll stop, and then we'll put the bolt back in. Okay guys, we put about a quart and a half, maybe a little bit more in the fill. We're gonna put our bolt back in, make sure you got your new crush washer on there, and then we're gonna torque this one up to 29 foot-pounds. right, let's see. Well, didn't change this from the other one. That wouldn't be good. Let's see. 20. So there's 20. What is that? There's 25, 26, 7, 8. There we go. 29 foot-pounds. Wouldn't have been good. Okay. There we do. Alright guys, here we are at the rear differential, and this one's going to be quite a bit easier because we don't have to remove that front skid plate. Here's our fill, here's our drain. Let's hit it with a little penetrating oil, wait about 5 minutes, and then we'll take our 24mm socket and pull these off. There we go. Okay, now we've got this bottom cracked open. Let's go ahead and take this out the rest of the way. Oh yeah, nice and dirty. Okay, we got both these all nice and clean. Make sure we get our new crush washers on here. Just like so. Get these old ones off. Oh, little magnet's gonna catch it. And then we're gonna torque both these down to 38 foot-pounds. We got our new crush washer on here. We'll go ahead and tighten it up with a 24mm socket to 38 foot-pounds. It's filled up. We got our bolt with the new crush washer, 38 foot-pounds.